Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Ghazi Mohammad Zakir Hossain, Associate Professor Surgery, Bosundara Ad-Din Medical College Hospital. I welcome you all in the following surgical lecture class. This is the class for final year MBBS students. Now I shall discuss about an important perennial condition such as anal fissure. It is important for final year MBBS students as well as for the clinical practice. In our settings, in our hospital, about 25 to 30% patient came with this problem, perianal problem. Our topic is anal fissure. Now, what is the definition of anal fissure? Anal fissure can be defined as a linear or oval ulcer in the squamous epithelium of the anal canal distal to the dental line. All of you know the dentate line. You know that the anus developed from the two sources. One distal portion is from the proctodium, another upper portion developed from the hindguard. The junction between the part hindguard and proctodium is known as dentate line. Anal fissure occurs equally in both sexes. It is equal in both male and female. It tends to occur in the younger age group, but it also can occur in the children during, especially after or during expulsive diarrhea of the baby. Now, what is the etiological factor responsible for development of anal fissure? There are multiple factors which are responsible for the development of anal fissure. Not a single factor is responsible. Multiple factors is responsible for this development of anal fissure. There are some initiating agents, initiating factors. Other are perpetuating factors, that is the factors responsible for sustaining of the anal fissure. Among the initiating factors, most important is extreme bowel habit, that is the patient suffer from hard stool or expulsive diarrhea. During hard stool, patient defecates and she strains at defecation, which is responsible for the development of anal fissure. Expulsive diarrhea and hard stool, excessive straining at defecation, and there is another factor which is responsible for development of anal fissure is fixed anococcygeal ligament posteriorly. During straining, excessive straining posterior perineal distance with excessive straining of the anoderm, which leads to anal tearing. Now, the perpetuating factors, among them important is hypertonic internal anal sphincter, relative ischemia of the anal mucosa, and posterior perineal discharge during defecation or straining. Hypertonic anal sphincter is due to reduced production of nitric oxide, and all of you know that there is rectum and anal canal. There are some places of relative tissue ischemia due to lack of or deficiency of branches of arteries in the rectum and anal canal, less dense capillaries in the mucosa of the anal canal and rectum, and internal anal sphincter in the midline posteriorly and midline anteriorly. Posterior perineal descents during defecation and straining, if there is any tear or ulceration occur, that does not heal in normal like as normal places. This is the etiological factor which are responsible for the development of anal fissure, as well as perpetuating factors which are responsible for sustaining or prolonged duration of anal fissure. Now, we shall discuss about the classification of anal fissure. According to the duration of the symptom, anal fissure can be divided into acute anal fissure and chronic anal fissure. Acute anal fissure is that one we can classify at that one which symptoms persist less than 6 weeks, or in some author it is less than 4 weeks. If the fissure persists more than 6 weeks or 4 weeks or 1 month, then we shall say it as chronic anal fissure. Now, classification based on morphology of the ulcer or fissure. It can be classified or divided into superficial fissure and deep fissure. Superficial fissure, there is the superficial separation of the anal mucosa and the margin is sharp. Base of the fissure does not recess to the internal anal sphincter. Patient presents with severe perianal pain, occasionally with bleeding, that is with or without bleeding. And fate of this anal fissure, superficial anal fissure, is vast majority of the superficial anal fissure heals spontaneously within days or weeks after appropriate conservative treatment. Now, the deep fissure, the margin is deep, open visible internal anal sphincter muscle fiber. It is gap is wide, minimum or no granulation tissue at the base. There are 3 important cardinal features for the diagnosis of deep anal fissure, that is the induration of the anal sphincter, that is the induration at the base of the ulcer, distal anal tract, mucosal tract, that is known as sentinel piles, and if we do proctoscopy, then we shall found that proximal hypertrophied anal papilla is present. It is not always present, papilla may be present. So, there are 3 important features of deep anal fissure. That is the indurated ulcer, presence of sentinel piles, and there may be or may not be present of hypertrophied anal papilla. This deep ulcer or deep fissure open persist, does not heal without intervention or recur regularly. Deep fissure may result from de novo at the beginning. It arises de novo as a result of deep tearing of the mucosa. It may develop due to repeated or superficial anal fissure, repetition of the superficial anal fissure, or it may be chronically from prolongation of the anal fissure, that is the superficial anal fissure. Now, what is the location of the anal fissure? As I mentioned earlier, there is the deficiency of blood supply or less blood supply in midline posteriorly and anteriorly. So, anal fissure in most of the cases, 75% of the cases, anal fissure develop posteriorly in the midline, 75% of the cases, and it has been seen that it is more common in the male. Anterior midline 25%, more common in the female. Both anterior and posterior anal fissure seen in 3% of the cases. But there are some atypical location of anal fissure, or there may be multiple anal fissure associated with other perianal diseases or intestinal diseases such as Crohn's disease, trauma, tuberculosis, syphilis, AIDS, and carcinoma of the anus or carcinoma of the colon. These may be associated with multiple anal fissure or associated with atypical position, that is the Crohn's disease, tuberculosis, syphilis, AIDS, and carcinoma, and sometimes traumatic injury to the anus. Now, how can we diagnose the case of anal fissure? We shall examine the patient, we shall take history of the patient. From the history, that is the symptoms of the patient, history, 3 important cardinal symptoms, that is the anal pain, rectal bleeding, and pruritus anus. That is the most important is anal pain. It is predominant symptom, and this anal pain increase during defecation, and it may last for few minutes, several minutes, hours, or even entire day. Pain is burning in nature and it is usually increase in intensity. It is increase in intensity during and after defecation. Rectal bleeding is another important cardinal feature, that is the minimum. Rectal bleeding may be minimum. All of you know that in hemorrhoid there is jet-like bleeding or bleeding in the initiation of the defecation or at the end of the defecation. But in acute and in anal fissure, the bleeding is minimum. It restricts the stool, surface of the stool. There is, it is minimum rectal bleeding. Another important feature is pruritus anus, that is the itching around the perianal region. Examine the patient after taking the consent and after proper exposure of the patient and position of the patient. That is the important position for examination of the patient is Sims position in a private room. Privacy is also necessary for the examination of the perianal region. In Sims position, when we gently separate the bottom, we can see the fissure and its position. Fissure may be anterior or posterior in position, it may be single or it may be multiple. Fissures of acute inflammation or chronic inflammation, that is the feature of acute anal fissure or chronic anal fissure. That is DRE, proctoscopy and sigmoidoscopic examination is of little value for the diagnosis of anal fissure. Especially if the fissure is acute, that is in acute anal fissure, DRE is contraindicated except in some condition, that is the strong suspicion of secondary pathology. DRE can be done in under general anesthesia or under anesthesia. Otherwise, DRE is contraindicated during acute anal fissure examination. Diagnosis of the anal fissure is done, characteristic symptoms and on physical examination only in seeing, only in inspecting the patient. No other investigation is necessary for the diagnosis of the patient. There may be concomitant presence of condition during patient with anal fissure. These are perianal abscess, fistula in ano, inflammatory bowel disease, sexually transmitted disease infecting the anus and carcinoma anus. This should be excluded during examination of the patient, and there may be atypical fissure which may be painless, non-healing. Further evaluation of the patient is necessary. We shall take details systemic history of the patient, investigation to diagnose the systemic disease, and sometimes if necessary we can advise excision biopsy or culture from the discharge in the perineal region for the diagnosis of anal fissure. Now, regarding treatment, we can divide the treatment into two ways: non-operative treatment and operative treatment. Non-operative treatment is the first line of management in all cases of anal fissure, whether it is acute or chronic, because half of the patient responds to conservative management, but 50% of the patient or half of the patient may recur. So, what are the disadvantages of non-operative management? It is not effective as effective as the surgery. The recurrence rate is higher, or I said it is about recurrence rate is 50%. Non-operative management is also associated with pain, bleeding from the trauma of the sentinel piles, which is not relieved sufficiently. There is some clinical feature or some symptom may persist, such as persistent tenesmus, soilage, spillage of stool during the spillage of stool in the or soiling of the perianal region may be present. So, it is not suitable for the patient. Now, the operative treatment for the anal fissure are indicated in failure of the non-operative treatment, anal fissure present with sentinel piles, and most of the cases of deep anal fissure. These are the indication of operative treatment of chronic anal fissure cases. Non-operative management includes treatment of both initiating and perpetuating factors simultaneously, seize bath and topical application of ointment and other drugs. That is, the non-operative treatment consists of dietary advice and medication for the softening of the stool. If the patient present with hard stool, we have to give stool softener every day, and we shall take care of the perineal region. Patient is advised to defecate in a pan rather than commode. After defecation, patient must go to seize bath and he will apply topical medication. Among the topical medication, we use combination use of anesthetic agent, anti-inflammatory agent and antibiotics. Among them, Irian is available in the market, which contains local anesthetic agent, hydrocortisone for anti-inflammation and aminoglycoside antibiotic for local applications. Sometimes we use sphincter relaxant or vasodilators, which helps in healing of the ulcer, that is known as GTN, glycerin trinitrate, which are vasodilator used in the perianal region. 0.2% GTN is available in the market, but it has some disadvantage. It may produce headache, orthostatic hypotension, anal irritation, so it is lack of compliance. Another agent, 2% deltiazem, is also used for the treatment of anal fissure, which improves the healing. Deltiazem, it is equally effective in both acute and chronic anal fissure with less side effect. It is first line of treatment of chronic anal fissure. We can use it, deltiazem. But if the patient from hypertension, systemic hypertension, if he or she receive this drug systematically, the efficacy is less. Another drug can be used, that is known as parasymptomimetic drug, that is the bethanicol. Adrenergic antagonist can be used, but lack of efficacy. Phosphodiesterase inhibitor, that is the sildenafil, may be used for the sphincter relaxation. Botulinum toxin is used injection in the midline anteriorly or posteriorly and the intersphincterary group for the healing of the anal fissure, but it may produce hematoma. What is the surgical management of anal fissure? All of you know that if there is sentinel presence, excision of the sentinel piles and sent for histopathological examination, and at the same time we advise to perform lateral internal sphincterotomy in an abbreviated form, LIS. LIS, it is effective in all types of anal fissure, both acute and chronic, for both and superficial. Healing rate is 90%, but failure may occur if we incompletely divide the internal sphincter. If the internal sphincter is divided, division is incomplete, anal fissure may recur. But if the sphincter is totally destroyed, incontinence may develop. So we shall be cautious during internal sphincterotomy. Another mode of treatment, now it is nearly obsolete, that is the controlled dilatation of the anus. It may be done by Park anal dilator or digital anal dilatation, or it may be it is still performed in some centers, but we do not recommend it. In atypical anal fissure, we have to treat the primary disease. Other management of the anal fissure is same. So in case of atypical anal fissure, we have to thoroughly investigate the patient for the diagnosis of the primary disease. We shall treat the primary disease, and local treatment is same as the anal fissure we have said. This is all about the treatment of anal fissure and management of anal fissure. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.